Arlene McCarthy, Labour MEP for the North West. You've helped to bring the Mayor of Liverpool out to a meeting with Commissioner Hahn, the Regions Commissioner, today. Before we get on to that meeting, just a bit of background really. How far behind the figures do you reckon Liverpool to be from the allocation that the government's come out with?
Well, on what we were expecting to get in this round of funding, we think we're probably circa 100 million short. Could be more than that. It could be 150 or the upper levels. The problem is that we need to get the figures, and the government is not prepared to say how they reached their figures. There's no transparency, and this is taxpayers' money. So I think they do have to be honest about how they arrived at the figure in terms of what we consider to be a serious cut for Liverpool and Merseyside.
Now, I mentioned that you've been meeting with the European Commissioner. Was that the first point that you were putting to him, that you'd like more transparency about these numbers?
Well, yes, absolutely, because we said the European funding, the European money is taxpayers' money. It doesn't belong to the UK government to decide to do what it wants to do with it. It has to respect the principles that we voted. I mean, I've campaigned for the last 2 years at least to make sure that Liverpool does enjoy funding from the transitional pot of money. So that is, we did certainly make the point that we felt that this had been an unfair allocation. It discriminated negatively against Liverpool, and that we want that redressing.
And when these numbers came out, you talked about the possibility of the EU withholding consent really on giving the final sign-off. Just explain what you wanted to see and what kind of response you've had today from the European Commission.
Well, I think the response from the Commissioner was good, because what he said was these are the government's figures. They published their own figures. There is a negotiation to take place. In that negotiation, that he will be seeking to ensure that they have respected the principles and the priorities set down by the EU, and that is by us, me as an elected MEP for Liverpool. And so from that perspective, I think that there is some way to go on this. It's not a done deal, and I think we have got time to influence that. And he certainly said he was aware of our concerns, and he would raise those concerns in his discussions and negotiations with the UK government before they reach a final settlement and before the Commission signs off this programme.
So were you reassured by that? Because presumably the Commission could have just said, these figures are fine, we've no problem with that, it can all go ahead.
No, because we knew from the outset that this was a consensual policy, that it's a partnership approach, that the programme has to be agreed with the Commission. And that's why we were a little bit surprised to see that the UK, the only member state we know of that's actually publicly gone out and published figures that they've neither seen fit to justify, and therefore we think they don't respect the rules, nor have they sought to share that information with the Commission, who ultimately has to sign off those figures. So, we think we're in a situation where the government does have to now justify the allocations it made. It should say how it's respecting the principles. And so we've got, I think, quite a bit of space and room now to try and influence that decision in a way that we want fairness for Liverpool and Merseyside.
The Commissioner has to appear to be fair to all sides, but did you get the impression that he was sympathetic to your case?
Yes, of course he has to be fair, and of course he has to also respect the fact that, contrary to what a lot of people think, Europe does not determine everything. Member states decide in the end how they will spend their allocation, how they put together their programmes. They should do that in consultation and partnership with the region. This government hasn't done that because it doesn't believe in regional government for England. But in the end, member states have a lot of freedom. What we're saying is don't abuse the freedom that the Commission has given you to actually penalise or discriminate against Merseyside.
Given what you've learnt today, is there a chance that the government will backtrack, that you could get more money coming to Liverpool than they've currently allocated?
Well, I think it's too early to say that, because this negotiation will go on. I think we're happy to have put down a marker. We've made it very clear to the Commissioner that we will campaign on this, and we've made it very clear that we won't give up on it. So that does mean that we're intending to persuade the government to make sure that Liverpool has a fair financial allocation of regional funding, and that we're going to continue to work on.
Just finally, Liverpool's mayor mentioned that they would consider legal action. What do you make of that?
Well, I think if that has to be the only resort we've got left in our way of making sure that we do get this fairness, then of course we have to look at all options. But it would be much easier if the government saw common sense, saw in fact that they have been unfair and discriminated, and saw fit to respect the rules that we voted for, we set down on behalf of the people of Merseyside.